Hello again for PHP for beginners. We are in part 14. Last video we talked about while loop. So I compare the while loop with for loop, and they do exactly the same, and I show you in the DOM how they exactly do the same work, and you can choose which syntax you prefer and use it because they do exactly the same. So we don't need while loop, so let's delete this. For loop I will keep it just to do some comparing, because today we'll learn how to use for each. So but first let's comment this. Let's start with for each. For each, it's a built-in function in PHP. If you are familiar with JavaScript, there is also for each in JavaScript, but it's works. They have different syntax because for each in PHP take different parameters. But let's do it here in PHP and let's start. If we write for each, we will get this. For each, we will open circle brackets, and we need curly brackets, and inside curly brackets we will put our code. So we need, let's put the same code what we use, and for each we will change it because here we will not use I, but it's for now. Let's put it like this. We will not use I here. I will show you what we will use. So now it's here we need to put first to which array you want to loop in. So here, because we will use the same array, the array number 4, array 4, so because we need to loop in the same way what we loop in the for loop, an array of arrays of associative array. So it's multi-dimensional array of associative arrays. So this is array, I want array, and we can now write as, and here you need to assign a variable to nothing, but you want to make for loop for this array as. Here you can put whatever you want, but because here we loop in, let's say, persons, because we have name, we have age, we have last name, so it will be more sense if we call it person. So I want to loop in this array as a person, so each one it will be a person. So this variable, it will be this line. So for first time this loop, it will loop and this one, and this one it will be a person. Second time person it will be this array. Third time the person will be this array. So person, now it's each one of these arrays. So if I want to access now something, I don't need to use the I here, and I don't even need to use the array 4. I can use directly the person, because the person itself, each time it's an array. So if we collect all of this and put like this, so now a person, the first time it will do the loop, it will be this. Person will be this. So only what I need, it's the key. I can put the key here after person inside square brackets, and I will access the name Mario. So I hope this makes sense, but this code now do exactly what for loop do here, without any assigning a variable, defining a variable, without any using the links of the array, without to put any condition, without to use any increment, without anything. And I think to use for each to loop an array, it's make more sense to use the regular for loop. Both they will do exactly the same job, but slow. First of all, it's less code, less complicated. You don't need to remember all of this. You don't need to do increment. You don't need to put a condition. You don't need to assign any variable. You just want to write the array which you want to loop in it in the first, and you put as, and you give a variable, and this variable, it will be each times it will be the array. First time the first array, second time second array, third time the third array. And this is how you access it. So now we need to see if this code do exactly the same what for loop do. It's for each work really the same or not. Now if I refresh, all of this should be go, and I should get only 3 section without this for loop or while loop. I should just get Mario with his last name and age, and John with his last name and age, and Mike with his last name and his age. So let's refresh, and this is what I get. So as you can see, it's working exactly the same. I get Mario with his last name, his age. I get John with his last name and his age. And I get Mike with his last name and his age. So let's go back to the code. As you can see, this for each do exactly what for loop do, what while loop do. And this is for each do exactly the same. So this is what for each, how the syntax of the for each. So easy syntax, less code, less, there is no any complex. You don't need to remember, you need to add 3 things, you don't need to do increment, you don't need to do the condition, you don't need to assign a variable, you just pass the array which you want to loop through it, and you go as, and as I told you, here you can give any name you want, and you can use it here to access the values through writing the key inside a square bracket, and you can see exactly it's do exactly the same. So this is how you can like loop through the data, and this is data. It's like, it's not JSON, it's not an object, it's not a class, it's an array. So this is, we just loop an array, and this is a multi-dimensional array of associative arrays. So this is associative array as we learned before with key. This is everything for this video. I hope this makes sense. Next video we will learn a little bit about true and false value, and we will start with if statement. It's an easy one. See you the next video today.